just glued together. He messed with his girlfriend? Like, kind of like the viewers. He's saying,
he's in jail for 2,159 days. So, how long would you like to be able to make that decision?
I can't sure when we do that to be able to have a private sheriff's office, but like I said, whether or not my motion
The YNW camp just detonated the rap game with chaos so wild it sounds straight out of a movie. Word on the street is Bortlen didn't just flip the script. He flipped on his own brother. A plea deal that leaves Melly fighting for his life inside a cell while loyalty evaporates in plain daylight. This isn't a small crack in the foundation. This is betrayal on the highest stage. Bortlen's choice didn't just bend the rules. It slammed Melly's future shut like a prison door. Behind bars, Melly's nightmare just hit a whole new level. All because the man he trusted most picked survival over brotherhood. 16 years written on paper suddenly weighed heavier to Bortlen than the bond they built since day one. And now Melly stays down the haunting reality of spending his life boxed into cold concrete walls. The question is, how did the brotherhood unravel into this chilling disaster? Let's rewind to the night everything turned bloody, October 26, 2018. That night marked the darkest chapter in the YNW camp. Two rappers, Anthony YNW Sackchaser Williams, just 21, and Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., only 19, were executed in cold blood. Their bodies riddled with bullets inside a rented Dodge Journey in Miramar, Florida. Prosecutors dropped a bombshell. It wasn't outsiders, it was insiders. They claim YNW Melly and his childhood partner Bortlen were the very ones pulling the triggers. Courtroom footage even captured all four leaving the studio together just hours before. The state painted it like a horror script gone real. Melly allegedly sat in the back seat, then unleashed up to 10 rounds each at close range while Bortlen kept his hands on the wheel. And the nightmare didn't end there. The two reportedly cruised with the bodies for nearly 2 hours, blasting shots into the car from outside to sell it as a drive-by. Once their cover-up looked airtight, Bortlen steered the car straight to Memorial Regional Hospital. But it was too late. The doctors could only call time of death on both victims. The evidence stacked by prosecutors weighed like a mountain ready to crush anyone beneath it. GPS tracked their every move. Ballistics tied the casings directly to a weapon linked to Melly. And surveillance clips matched their timeline like pieces snapping perfectly into a puzzle. On top of that,
so this resting angle in this seat, you have the projectile coming in, exiting through the top of the skull, and then continuing through the windshield. Christopher Thomas was already deceased when these rounds were coming into the back of the vehicle because Christopher Thomas was what we would call crumbling. He was starting to fall, if you will. On top of that, I know that he was already deceased because the back of his back, essentially, the rounds that are in his back, have no blood in them. My determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting. The shooter's at a stationary position, and all but one of these rounds are going in.
cell phone data completely killed the whole outside shooter theory, locking the chaos back inside the YNW circle. But even with a mountain of evidence, Melly's defense team dug out the smallest crack that nearly flipped the entire case upside down. February 13th, 2019, the hammer dropped. Melly and Bortlen hit with the exact same charges. 2 counts of first-degree murder. That's death penalty territory or life with no way out. No middle ground, no second chances. The state came swinging for blood, but Melly's lawyers swore they had a strategy carved in stone. His first trial finally opened in October 2022, with the defense hanging on to one lifeline. Their argument? Melly wasn't even in the car when the shots fired. They claimed it was a real drive-by from mystery hitters, pointing to bullet paths that lined up with gunfire from outside the SUV. That story became their shield, and against all odds, It stuck, at least for a while. By July 2023, the trial ended in pure chaos, a mistrial. The jury split, leaning 9-3 or even 10-2 for acquittal. For one shocking moment, it looked like Melly could actually walk, despite the evidence stacked sky-high against him. But the dream collapsed in brutal fashion on September 9, 2025. Bortlen, the co-defendant who once stood shoulder-to-shoulder with him, walked into Broward County Courthouse and grabbed the deal prosecutors had been dangling since September 4th. Instead of gambling with 5 life sentences, Bortlen folded. He pled no contest to accessory after the fact and witness tampering, locking in 10 years behind bars plus 6 more on probation. 16 years under the system's leash, way lighter than the eternity he was facing. But that deal came at the dirtiest price imaginable. He sold out his day one, blowing the whole brotherhood apart and flipping the game completely upside down. Here's the gut punch. Bortlen's deal forced him into a sworn proffer, laying out every detail of that deadly night. And according to reports, he confirmed the state's smoking gun. Melly was in that car when the bullets flew. That single statement shredded the defense's entire alibi, the very story that once saved him. Now prosecutors hold a golden ticket, an eyewitness account from the driver himself, placing Melly right there when his own crew got executed. What makes it sting even more is the timing. Bortlen's trial was set to start the very next morning, but instead of standing tall, he collapsed under weight and folded at the buzzer. For months, he kept his mouth shut, hoping his lawyers could pull a miracle from thin air. But when the walls closed in, he tapped out, traded his silence for survival, and signed his future away, dragging Melly down with him.
It's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct? And that resolution is agreed with you to the state, terms of which are as follows. Number 1, 19 days, you're going to approve no contest. No contest except for the 22 days, you're going to approve no contest as to the contest charge. In exchange for that, the state is going to nullify or drop the first-degree murder case.
Once Bortlen cut that deal, he had no choice but to walk prosecutors step by step through the entire play, dragging Melly's name deeper into the date. The streets erupted instantly. Snitch talk flew harder than ever. But this wasn't just 2 random co-defendants turning on each other. This was childhood brothers from Gifford, Florida, who clawed their way up in the rap game side by side. Even the victim's attorney, John M. Phillips, couldn't resist throwing shade online, tweeting. As predicted, Bortlen took the plea. That one post lit hip-hop Twitter on fire. Because in street culture, flipping on your day one is the ultimate betrayal, the one sin you can't wash away. What made it was, Bortlen signed those papers literally hours before his own trial was set to begin. It felt like he held out to the very last second, then folded when the thought of 5 life sentences grew too heavy. The rap world spiraled into a frenzy, and of course, Tekashi 6ix9ine had to jump in, clowning the situation like it was his personal victory lap. When Bortlen copped that plea, Tekashi wasted no time blasting out. Melly is cooked. And coming from the poster boy of snitching himself, those words hit like a hammer. Fans instantly drew comparisons to Gunna's infamous 2022 plea in the YSL case, roasting Bortlen for what they called a Gunna-style deal just to shave his sentence. The backlash was insane. Hashtags like #YNW Snitchland exploded past 500,000 posts, with fans torching him nonstop. The image of YNW as an unbreakable family was officially in ashes. Even legal analysts chimed in. S.G. Batman warned that Bortlen's collapse could completely reshape Melly's trial. Heavyweights in the rap community started asking the hard question, does loyalty in hip-hop even exist anymore? The streets were split down the middle. Some said Bortlen had no choice but to save himself. Others swore he should have stood tall beside Melly, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Bortlen's lawyer, Fred Haddad, tried spinning damage control, insisting, Cortland Henry is not a snitch. But by then, the internet had already branded him. Because here's the cold reality, his sworn proffer locked him in. He'd already told prosecutors what went down that night, and everyone knew they'd use it to crush Melly at retrial. The state now held a smoking gun. Bortlen's own words, ballistics showing 14 shots fired inside the SUV, hospital footage proving no signs of a drive-by, and most damning of all, an eyewitness placing Melly at the scene. That alone tore the heart out of Melly's alibi. His defense went from shaky to shattered overnight. For Melly, the timing was brutal. He has been stuck in Broward County Jail since February 2019, already fighting an uphill war. With retrial delayed all the way to January 2027, Bortlen's proffer now hangs like the missing puzzle piece prosecutors needed to bury him alive. Melly's dream of freedom just took its hardest blow yet, and the streets can't stop asking, is this the final nail in his coffin? Once the rap game's golden child, he's now staring at the chilling reality of never breathing free air again. The numbers tell the story. As of September 10, 2025, Melly's been caged for 2,345 days, over 6.5 years, without a single conviction. He's served more time waiting for trial than some people serve after sentencing. The heartbreak shows in court. At a bond hearing in January 2025, Judge John Murphy hit him with the cold math. 2,159 days already gone. Cameras caught the look on his face as it went viral. Pure disbelief, like he couldn't process just how much of his life had vanished. Life inside Broward County Jail is psychological warfare. In protective custody, Melly spends 23 hours a day trapped in a 6x9 cell, with 1 hour of so-called recreation in a cage or small gym. His daily routine is nothing but silence and steel, dry cereal for breakfast, beans or soggy sandwiches for meals, all eaten alone. His mom, Jamie King, has been crying out for years, saying her son barely gets clean clothes or basic hygiene. Imagine one shower week and having to pay commissary prices just for soap. The heartbreak only cuts deeper with visitation rules. No more face-to-face contact, just 30-minute video calls once a week, every word recorded. Phone calls cost $10 for 15 minutes, draining families just to hear his voice. In court, the rare moments he locks eyes with his mom are pure pain. Back in June 2025, after 2,320 days inside, the emotion nearly broke him. But the worst of all is the so-called medical care. A broken hand left untreated, a tooth yanked with no anesthesia, mental health meds denied. That's not health care, that's torture. Broward County Jail itself has been a hellhole under federal oversight since 2013. Mold creeping up the walls, spoiled food crawling with roaches, heat blasting cells with no AC, and guards using pepper spray as discipline. Even his lawsuit in 2024 demanding $1 million painted it clear, his enduring punishment harsher than some convicts, all while technically still innocent until proven guilty. The toll is obvious. Melly looks thinner, broken, haunted. His mom admitted is not the same, withdrawn, tormented by nightmares, barely holding on. Even his music, the lifeline that gave him purpose, has fallen silent. After 2020's Melly vs. Melvin dropped with leftover recordings, the vault went empty. By 2025, no new tracks, no projects, just silence. The once unstoppable hash-free Melly movement has slowed to a drip, supporters burning out as years pass without justice. In August 2025, Melly even fired his entire legal team, bringing in Drew Findling, the same powerhouse who once defended NBA YoungBoy. But the shake-up screamed desperation as his defense spiraled behind the scenes. Every delay steals milestones he'll never get back. Birthdays, family moments, music releases, gone. And now, with Bortlen's plea hanging like a sword, Melly's retrial in 2027 could decide everything. If convicted, he's looking at life without parole, maybe even the death penalty. And even if by some miracle he walks free, the scars are already permanent. Nearly a decade wasted, a career stripped, a mind broken by solitary. For Melly, justice hasn't even begun, but the punishment is already written all over his story. That toxic cocktail of rivalries and resentment, prosecutors argued, is exactly what paved the way for the October 2018 murders of Sackchaser and Juvie. Then came the curveball. Melly claimed he was battling dissociative identity disorder. He said it wasn't him. It was his alter ego Kevin responsible for the violence, even the killings. His mom backed it up, blaming trauma and narcotics. In 2022, his lawyers pushed for a competency exam, but the court shut it down. Critics called it a desperate sympathy card, while diehard fans swore it was a genuine cry for help from a young man falling apart. Prosecutors went even harder, branding the YNW crew as a straight-up criminal gang tied to the Bloods. They pulled out 123 text messages they said proved Melly's gang involvement, and in court they laid everything bare. Rival beefs, money disputes, power struggles. It stopped being about music and became survival. One wrong move meant a coffin. Fans were divided down the middle. Some preached Melly's innocence. Others said his lyrics predicted it all. Even Kendrick Lamar threw Melly's name into his battle with Drake, rapping, "If not, I'm YNW Melly," a bar fans instantly tied to betrayal. That one line showed just how far Melly's case had seeped into hip-hop. His trial wasn't just a legal fight anymore. It became a cultural symbol. Melly clapped back, saying he was honored but appalled at Kendrick's jab, proof that his story had turned into shorthand for betrayal in rap. Kevin Gates kept it blunt on The Breakfast Club, killing friends, that's snake behavior. And Boosie Badazz tweeted way back in 2019, "Pray for Melly, but if he did it, that's cold. Family first, no cap, RIP to the fallen YNW." Even his support came with a warning label. That's what made it sting deeper. The YNW squad never moved like a business deal. They moved like blood brothers. Sack Chaser and Juvie weren't just crew. They were kids from the same Florida blocks chasing the same dream. But once whispers spread that Melly's fame and money were fueling paranoia, people saw success itself as a poison that cracked their bond. DJ academics fanned the flames with viral clips, calling the case proof that loyalty is dead in rap. The internet ate it up. Daily reminder YNW Melly killed his childhood friend's post went viral, convicting him in the court of public opinion. Then came family drama to twist the knife even deeper. In 2019, Dante THA Gift Taylor popped up claiming to be Melly's real father. He demanded DNA tests, even accusing Melly of faking sob stories in lyrics about growing up without a dad. It never turned into a full-blown war, but it showed how personal skeletons became weapons once Melly was under the microscope. And the saddest part? His alleged gang ties and rap sheet bear the fact he was once a prodigy with real star power. The headlines turned him from a hit maker into a cautionary tale. Melly had the talent to break through. Songs like Mixed Personalities with Kanye West proved he could have gone mainstream. But after the 2018 murders, everything flipped upside down. His music wasn't seen as art anymore. It was turned into courtroom evidence. Instead of being remembered for his voice, his style, his raw talent, his name is now tied to betrayal, gunsmoke, and endless legal battles. Even worse, the code of the streets just kept collapsing. First, whispers of Melly betraying his own. Now Bortlen's plea deal stacking betrayal on betrayal, sealing the saga as one of rap's darkest stories. The culture isn't just watching for a verdict. They're watching because this case shows what happens when the streets eat everything: music, brotherhood, loyalty, and lives. Guilty or not, the scars are permanent. The YNW name is burned into rap history with blood and betrayal. And Melly's reputation? Already scorched beyond repair. This story proves a brutal truth. When rap collides with the streets, nobody really wins. Everybody loses in the end. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Melly still has a shot at rewriting his legacy? Or is his fate locked in for good? Smash that like button, subscribe, share this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.